we will head this off with Petra giving us a little introduction about the extended reality Bavaria. Can you share your screen?
I'm about to do so. Can you see that?
Yeah, we can.
Yeah.
Okay, cool. So, yeah, very nice evening with all the sun around us, finally. And welcome to our meetup today with Unreal. So, yeah, I keep my little introduction short so that you have enough time to really, get some insight on the new Unreal 5. I just wanted to give you a very quick roundup what extended reality Bavaria is about. So yeah, most of you guys, and I see a lot of names I already know, but anyway, we have been founded in 2019. Well, as you know, we have different kind of areas of interest. So we try to to balance our activities out from industry to also science, but technology, as well as let's say the more soft topics like storytelling and design. So to give everyone really a good introduction into the field of XR. So we are also covering VR, AR, MR, whatever R. So it's all the different kinds where you can step into. We see ourselves as a bridge, let's say, to also give people the ability to to learn about the technology. We have a lot of startups around us and try to help them find the right connections to all kind of different stakeholders. So I think all overall, it's about getting into the community in Bavaria. The major activities are still in Munich, so I think this will definitely be something where we want to build up and see how we find also activities in the different areas in Bavaria, like in the northern and other southern activities and areas. So and from the activities we are offering. We have the monthly meetups as you have it today. So every meetup is dedicated to a specific topic, like today as it is technology. We are sometimes covering panels into different areas like medical or also experimental. So keep tuned on the Meetup channel because it's a lot of variation and a lot of different things you can jump into. And last but not least, we are also supporting and mentoring. So again, well, we are trying to help the youngsters, let's say young professionals, also to find the right company or at least the right person to talk to. And obviously, as I'm again the only woman in this round, from the people on the virtual stage, my heart also beats for women in XR, and I can only say and encourage all these ladies here in the field, step up and come into XR. It's an amazing technology and an amazing field. You can do a lot of different stuff, and I think it's very future proof. So the yearly fees start from 49. We are also offering corporate memberships in the meanwhile. So something you want to ask, get in contact with Clarence, myself, or Martin, and we give a little bit more insight. And one thing I just wanted to mention is we will have the next meetup. It is about women in XR, and we will talk about our new initiative, XR Moms. It's an initiative where we want to give moms, let's say, an entry into the branch, because it's sometimes a little bit critical when you're sitting at home. But well, again, XR could be a very nice field because there is a lot to do on the screen, and you can do it at home as well. So stay tuned. On 19th, we are initiating the initiative for the first time, and we will have a next live event actually on the 23rd of May in the Haus der Wirtschaft. We will hold that together with the VBW, which is the Vereinigung der Bayerischen Wirtschaft, the Association of the Bavarian Economy, and the Ministry of Digitalization. So stay tuned. I can also send you the link later on. Who's interested, you can find it on the website, and I think also on the newsletter. And that's it for today. I wish you a super nice evening with the guys and Unreal 5.
Yeah, thank you, Petra, for the short introduction. Yeah, we are talking about Unreal 5 today, as you all know. I think there's a lot of stuff to cover, and I'm very happy that I have the absolute experts in the field with me today. I have Robin Hasenbach, and he's a trainer and developer and an Unreal expert, and I guess you're a Unity expert as well, from what I've been told. Yes?
Yeah, Unity. Yeah. And also CryEngine, so
or
real-time technology, or about game engines.
He's basically Mr. Know-it-all, but that's a good thing. And then we have Stephan. He's a trainer, developer as well, and of course an Unreal expert. And then we have Steiner. He's like an absolute pioneer in the field of XR. You might know him from his blogs and from being one of the chairmen of the EDFVR way back when XR was still very young. So I'm very happy that you guys joined us today, and with no further ado, just take it away and get Unreal.
So yeah, thank you, Stephan. So Robin, Stephan, we talk. Thanks, Clarence. Sorry, thanks, Clarence. Thank you, Clarence. So yeah, Robin, Stephan, we talk together, and I make the beginning today, and we make a little conversation, a little chat about it. And I will start sharing my screen. Hopefully this works. Yes. So one thing I am missing in Zoom is that I don't see my own screen sharing, but because nobody's
we can see your screen.
I think everything works. Okay, so yes, we are here today from INCAS Training, and Clarence talked to me and asked us if we can hold a short presentation about Unreal 5. I preferred to hold this presentation in Klingon because my Klingon is much better than my English, but Clarence, you told me that English will probably be more a common used language in today. So yeah, sorry for my crap English, but we should work with this. Yeah, we are here from INCAS Training. Who is we? We are today here is Robin Hasenbach. As you already told us, Clarence, he's yeah, let's say an engine expert. Robin, this is correct. Yeah, engine expert. You're swimming in all this zeros and ones since you are a little baby. Stephan, you are also an expert since years now. And yeah, I'm just the anchor man today and follow you and guide you through the presentation. So what I figured out today, Stephan and Robin, what's really funny is because we hold this presentation in English, I thought about to think about our show names in English. So when my show name is Stoner, and when you put an E at the end of Rüb, you get Stephan Turnip, which is really impressive. And of course, Robin, I wait for the last. So, which is really crazy is you are Robin Bunny Creek. I like this. So I think we should start in the future every time with this cool presentation of Robin Bunny Creek, Stephan Turnip, and Christian Stoner. I like it.
Awesome.
Okay, we are all freelancer, and we are here today for INCAS. We're all working for INCAS, and there are 4 facts you need to remember about INCAS. INCAS is the largest Unreal training company in Europe. We have trained over 2,000 people in Unreal Engine in the last 3 years. probably more, but this was the number I definitely found. We have 15 plus Unreal expert and trainer in our squad. And of course, we have an excellent network and a close relationship with Epic Games. And yeah, sorry, there are 5 facts you need to remember, not 4, because you have to remember Stephan Otten. He is the CEO and the founder of INCAS in the 90s. So it's a really old company, not person. It's a really old company, not person. And yeah, he's a really cool, super cool guy. And we are really proud. And it's an honor to be here for him and work for INCAS. Thank you, Stephan, if you ever hear this or see this presentation. Okay, the last thing before we start is, if you are interested in learning Unreal, and if you want to know more about the stuff we are talking about today, we have just started an Unreal 5 training it's called the Connector. So if you're interested in training and learn Unreal 5, so please get in contact with us. Just remember this site, this page. We will send the presentation to all of you at the end of the meeting. But of course, this is a time where you have to take a screenshot maybe or write it down. Doesn't matter. And this was, I promise, the advertising part of this presentation. We are going to start with Unreal Engine 5. Maybe we don't need to talk about the topics that we all maybe know out of the press releases. Of course, Unreal Engine 5 gets really big attention for two improvements, which called Nanite and Lumen. And of course, we will concentrate on this two new features. But because nobody told me that it takes a half a day to put in together this slides, I'm really happy that I have Stephan and Robin here, because you are now honored to share your screen and help me out to show what we want to show the people. And we start with Nanite. Stephan, so you have prepared something, grabs the screen and guide us and told us something about Nanite, please.
All right, thanks for the great introduction, and I'm really impressed with your PowerPoint skills.
Yeah.
Let me just share my screen for a second. Give me a second. Yes. Okay. Can you see my screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
All right. So welcome to Unreal Engine 5. Firstly, if any one of you has ever used the Unreal Engine in the version 4, you might see something a little bit different. So the user interface has changed a bit, also a bit dramatically in some areas. We are not going to talk about user interface today, but it is a little bit different also concerning workflows. For example, the content drawer where all of your assets reside is per default hidden, and you can grab it with the shortcut Control Space, and then it slides up and slides down out of the view if you need it or if you don't.
Everything is a little bit cleaner, right?
Yes, it is a little bit cleaner, and also you can focus more on your scene, what you're working on in. And specifically, it improves the workflow in stuff like materials. When you are creating a material and you are in a material editor, you can just grab the content drawer, grab the textures that you need, drop them in your material. In Unreal Engine 4, you had to go back to your level view, then in the content browser, and yeah, it's a bit faster.
The editor change was mainly aimed for getting a bigger viewport, so if you got more viewport space to work with. So the stuff from the left and from the bottom was just removed or put into some other sub menus, or like the content drawer made to be slide in and slide out. And yeah, it's just about getting more viewport space.
Yeah, it's also much cleaner, a little bit more towards the dark mode per default. But yeah, for now, I wanted to show you a little bit about Nanite, the first big feature of Unreal Engine 5. What you're seeing right now is a test level that I have set up for this. And now that we can focus more on only the level, I'm going to press F11 to go into full screen and show you a little bit around. What you're seeing right now is all nanite meshes. And when you haven't heard this, or you're hearing this for the first time, let me tell you a little bit about what nanite is and what it means for game development and real-time development. So basically, geometry in real time or in any CGI environment means triangles, vertices, and points in space and surfaces that are shaded in some way. And historically, these had a default number of triangles, for example, and this number of triangles would never change. But with nanite, everything is virtualized, everything is dynamic, and everything is only streamed in when you need it. So nanite is a virtualized geometry system, and it renders at pixel scale. So you only see, or you only get rendered what your eyes can perceive and what your display can render. It is also highly compressed. So your files, your assets also can get much smaller when using nanite. And it also automatically handles the level of details what you used earlier when nanite wasn't around. And just to show you a little bit while I talk about it, how it works, I'm going to switch over my view from my default lit view, like you would see it in game, to the visualization mode of nanite, which is also great to debug and see where mistakes might come from. So if I go down to nanite visualization and go to the overview, it shows me my scene here in the center, like I am used to it, and then all of the nanite visualizations that are available to me. We're going to concentrate on these two on the top left first. This is the triangles, and these are the clusters. I'm going to switch to them now. So the triangles are just all of the triangles that my meshes are made up of. And when I move around my view or fly through the scene, you might see some triangles changing their size and the geometry dynamically adjusting to my point of view. This is what I mean with virtualized geometry that adapts to the pixel detail of your scene. This works also in a bigger perspective with the clusters. So the geometry is subdivided into clusters that are also then based on your distance from the camera, on the mesh distance from the camera, that are also then switched out to bigger and broader clusters, only the detail that you need. And all of this is then streamed in so that not all of the data is not all the time available to you, only when you need it.
Okay, so Stephan, for me to understand this, in the past time or in the last engines, when I don't know, let's say we have a chair. If I only see the tip of the chair, the whole chair must be rendered. So it doesn't matter how much from the chair I see, everything gets rendered. And even if I hope this round is familiar with a level of detail, even if I can work with level of detail, it doesn't matter. The whole level of detail doesn't matter if 0, 1, 2, 6 will be packed in my graphic card space.
Correct.
And nanite changed it because it's breaking up the mesh in cluster. And after that, the cluster, what is a cluster? The cluster is a bigger version of a level of detail, or how can you explain this?
So maybe let me try to
Or
explain
Robin,
it
of
for
course,
a
Robin,
second.
Bunny Creek, go for
yeah,
it.
Bunny Creek. So when you put in a mesh, and it's a high poly mesh into Unreal Engine 5, and you enable nanite support, it will be clusterized. So for every patch of a few polygons, and you can adjust how big clusters should be, but in general, Unreal Engine knows pretty good on how big they should be. So these clusters on the geometry they are like sub meshes generated from the original raw mesh. And with Nanite, you don't need to do these LODs anymore. So you don't need LOD 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. It's just the raw LOD 0 high poly mesh. And on the fly, every frame calculation per cluster, it is calculating how many of the triangles can be drawn without an overdraw on your screen. So if you have a bigger resolution screen or just closer to a surface, it will just show more triangles of a cluster or less of them.
Okay.
And
but so I don't lie, we do this for the first time, and we see this triangle over there, Stephan, and this is not, is this not right now? You are in the cluster view, right? Yeah, that's a cluster view. It's not clusterized, and for me that does mean this is not a Nanite mesh. Correct?
Correct.
Okay.
And this means also that you can still use standard meshes with the Nanite combined. So it doesn't mean if you're using Nanite that all of your meshes have to be Nanite, because Nanite doesn't support everything yet. For example, translucency on materials, or some material effects like world position offset, skeletal meshes. It only works on static meshes and is mainly used for high quality photogrammetry assets, for example, like you are getting from Quixel Bridge, which I might also add is now part of the Unreal Engine 5 built right in. So Quixel was bought by Epic Games last year or so. 2019, thank you. And they provide high quality photogrammic assets, 3D assets and materials that you can use for free when using it with the Unreal Engine. For example, this Tundra collection, they just went into Tundra, photographed a few rocks and stones, and now you can grab them and put them right inside of your level. And these are these rocks.
Just a short break, Christoph. I have seen your question. We put all questions at the end of the presentation, but I'm sure we get you an answer for this. So,
actually,
okay.
I just wanted to say to give you another feature of Nanite that we haven't spoken about. I think you were going in that direction, Christian, but it's also about Christoph's question in the Zoom chat. So maybe that already answers it. It's just something that I wanted to mention. So besides being a non-LOD system, so it's a on-the-fly LOD system, another thing that Nanite handles pretty well is per cluster occlusion culling. So occlusion culling just means that if you have something and it's in front of something else, the occluded part, the point behind the other object, does not need to be rendered anymore because it's occluded. And by using these, or by subdividing your meshes into these clusters and just showing clusters and triangles on the clusters to the user, you've got two main advantages. And that's frustum culling, only picking up the clusters. So at the end of your screen, at the end of your camera's frustum of what's to be rendered, that's exactly the last part of the cluster. So even if like a huge rock over here is being in the screen, only up to the part where the camera frustum only currently picks up the rock, only up to that part.
Like
it's
this
rendering.
mesh, for example, it's really big and massive, but it only renders what you see. Oh, nice. That's perfect.
It's
interesting.
Just quickly restart. No worries. Quickly restart the level.
So you've got also the per cluster occlusion. So if an object hides a cluster completely, it's fully occluded, that cluster does not need to be rendered anymore. So the triangles, geometry can be spent somewhere else where you currently need more performance.
Maybe you show us the overdraw mode. I personally found that this is a nice visualization where you can see where the cluster is thrown out of the rendering, because what you see here is this light up purple stuff that are the cluster behind this mesh, right, Stephan? Or
yeah, so
was it completely wrong?
It's like a heat map. So overdraw, like Robin mentioned, is stuff that is drawn but not seen. So it just eats up performance that you don't need because you can't see it as a viewer. And what this view mode shows us is everything that is dark is perfect, nothing to worry about. But everything that gets red and then lighter until white is bad, because their stuff is drawn that doesn't need to be drawn. So it's overdrawn. And Nanite struggles a bit with glancing angles. So everything on edges of meshes, for example, there it struggles and it then overdraws. That's just default, but that doesn't cost a lot of performance. And especially when meshes are really close together. So a rule of thumb is if faces of different meshes are like 10 centimeters apart or less, then overdraw will also occur.
Okay, and we see with your triangle in the scene, it of course it doesn't occlude everything. So Unreal tries to throw out all clusters which are behind this triangle, but of course you can see it has to figure out on even to the sides of the triangle. It can't throw everything out.
Yeah,
so
it depends on the cluster. So you see here,
yeah.
It's like a part of the cluster here. And when I move farther away, the cluster changes shape.
Okay, so I
understand.
I understand. Nanite gives me the possibility to throw in really high detailed meshes, and it makes some auto LOD out of the mesh. So, but how can I use my own meshes as a Nanite mesh?
So just one more topic on Nanite before I show you how you set it up. It works also on its own rendering paths. So you don't have to worry about draw calls anymore. Draw calls was something that we had to worry about a lot in earlier stages of in earlier versions of Unreal. So how many meshes, how many materials are on screen? But Nanite itself is one render pass by itself. So you can draw also not only highly detailed meshes, but also 1 million of these highly detailed meshes, or 1 billion, whatever. So there are numbers possible that weren't possible before. Two things to start with Nanite. I mean, the Quixel Bridge offers you a lot of great highly detailed meshes. And if you want to use the most high-end version of them, just click on one of them. And here down in the right corner, you see the quality levels that you can import. Just set it on Nanite on one of your meshes. And then every mesh that you import will then use the Nanite, the highest resolution. Let me see if I can find one.
Stephan, I'm also the timekeeper, so this is not a training. So just to be clear.
all right, it's all right. So let me just go in my content browser where I have geometry, for example, this INCAS logo, which is right now not a Nanite mesh. I could right-click on this mesh and just say Nanite enable, and then it gets converted into a Nanite mesh. The materials will have to be recalculated and everything works. You can also just inside of your static mesh editor
can you please change to the cluster view? I'm totally interested to.
Yes, this is
because what's totally interesting is that's all decided from the engine. So for now I cannot, I don't know, do some changes how the engine rebuilds this as a Nanite mesh, right? And the engine decides which how it does the clustering. Okay.
So I mean, the geometry by itself isn't really optimized, as you can see down here, but it changes depending on my distance. And if I show the clusters, it just has these
nice
on the mesh.
Okay.
And you can go down if you go close enough, you get shown the highest possible resolution, but it can subdivide even further. That's not yet implemented.
Some questions in the chat, but we put them to the end. So please stay and just wait. Maybe we can go to the next topic, because the next big thing is Lumen in Unreal 5, right, Stephan? And you also prepared a little scene to show us.
I mean, you can see Lumen a bit also here before we switch to the next scene. Lumen is
on the ground, right?
Yes, Lumen is the new global illumination system in real time in Unreal, also fully virtualized and using really cool technology. that we can't get into depth today. But what you can see is, firstly, if I move the sun around with my shortcut, you can see that my sun is moving on at the sky. Let me just go back into full screen. And you see the shadows on the ground updating in real time.
But I've seen this in UE4.
You've seen this in UE4 as well, but this is highly performant and highly optimized, and also uses more realistic visualization of the light. So for example, what I can show in the next scene, if there is an object that has a specific color, it bounces the light in this color as well, which wasn't possible before. And what you see here, if I turn the light around a little bit more, is also this triangle has an emissive material. And this emissive material also acts as a light source and lights up the ground.
So could we say Lumen is some sort of software ray tracing?
Exactly.
Yes, exactly. It can be combined with hardware ray tracing using NVIDIA RTX graphics card, for example. But the software ray tracing part is the main thing about Lumen. Let me just open my level where I have prepared a little bit about Lumen. That's just a really basic scene, just to show you a few things about Lumen. For example, here we have this red sphere. When I move it closer to the wall or farther away, you can see that the light getting in from the window, hitting the red sphere, then shines a red shadow on the wall. Also, I have here a sphere that has a metallic, like a mirror material, really dirty mirror, and it reflects the glowing sphere behind me, which was also possible, of course, with reflection captures, for example, but the sphere could move right now, and it would also render.
A little bit disappointing it doesn't reflect the camera, would be nice.
Yeah, sorry, no camera here. And this sphere, for example, also an emissive material. Can you
turn off Lumen in this scene? Just with a click. Okay, it's set up.
I mean, I could change a few settings, but Lumen is right now the main thing. I could change to path tracing, which we will get into a little bit also in this scene. Maybe I can show you a little bit of the cool settings in path tracing before we get too far. What you see right here are 3 materials that benefit from a few new features inside of the path tracer. Just a quick introduction to the path tracer. The path tracer allows you to really mathematically calculate like a rendering image like it would an offline renderer, like Cycles in Blender or Octane or stuff like this. And you can just switch it on by using the view mode menu and going down to path tracing. It needs a supported GPU, also NVIDIA RTX, for example, and then it calculates every path of light hitting and something and then bouncing and all that stuff like a real path tracer offline renderer. But you can use it right inside of Unreal. Of course, not for real-time purposes, but you can use it, for example, in the movie render queue using your sequences that you have, your cinematics that you have set up.
Okay, we feel with you. You are passionate about path tracing, so that is the reason you put this in an XR meetup.
Yes, I mean it's new technology, and some of this stuff is also relevant.
But the thing is, what I use this for actually is to create 360-degree video animations. It is very relevant.
Or product stills, product videos in any way. But yeah, also, of course, 360 videos. Everything that can be rendered.
And these 3 statues have 3 different materials on it. So this in the far back uses subsurface scattering. So if I open the material up quickly, I can change the subsurface scattering color, and then getting hit by light, you can see that it changes color.
Looks really
cool. Subsurface scattering. Then in the middle, we have standard class with caustics enabled. So caustics on the ground on the shadow that wasn't possible before. And here, this is the thin translucent, which casts colored shadows now in path tracing, which also wasn't possible before. a really, really cool feature that makes it much more realistic.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I feel that I want to say what I say with every new engine. It looks like real. It looks like real. I don't know. I say this every time. And
let me just switch back to the other level because we can show more there with the visualization view modes maybe. So quickly to show you, we also have under Nanite the Lumen visualization view mode, where we can show how Lumen sees the scene, and then also based on that lights it. So we have the Lumen scene, the surface cache, and it doesn't show me this. Normally this is the surface cache. It shows me this twice. It's a little bit weird. So the Lumen scene, if I switch this on, is a really, really basic view of my scene. You see my Nanite meshes, all the detail has disappeared because we don't really need it for the software ray tracing. Lumen uses distance fields. So something that was also possible before in some part of this functionality in Unreal Engine 4. You could use distance fields for shadowing, for example, but these distance fields, let me just show you in show, visualize, mesh distance fields, and go to lit. Distance fields are 3D textures of your meshes, so that the lighting calculation, the path tracing is not done against 3D geometry, but 2D textures that have the information of your 3D geometry inside of it. And that makes it so fast and so powerful. That's just the really, really basic stuff. It also combines it with some screen space effects and stuff, but this is the really, really basic stuff about it.
cool. Stephan, thank you. That was perfectly 5 minutes per topic.
Right.
So Robin, sadly, you have only 1 minute for your next topic. We
All right. So let me just go ahead and share my screen then.
yeah, so I skip sharing my screen. So because the next topic, I just have the topics on my screen. So the next topic would be modeling. Yeah, you want to talk about the modeling stuff in Unreal 5. Clarence, you got a question because you are the host.
No,
you can throw in questions every time, and of course,
yeah,
we are all.
Yeah, of course, yeah. No, I was just saying maybe I don't know. Sometimes you use some kind of
it sounds like a deep dive sometimes from Stephan.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
He throws.
Sometimes you show in some stuff that only 3D artists do understand, like level LOD or something like this. Maybe not for everybody is clear what LOD is, but maybe if you take the time sometimes to explain it in a few words, that was the only thing. And Robin, you don't have to think about the time. I think we have time. Okay.
Yeah. All right. Okay. So this is interesting. Now, I'm more from a technical side. I'm more of a programming guy. Still, I do the artistic modeling part, but that's fine. We just jump in there.
That's the challenge, because it's so easy that even a developer can work with modeling right now.
Yeah, exactly. So UE5 is offering us something completely new. Inside of the Unreal Engine 5 editor, we can model, we can sculpt, we can edit UVs. So we can basically create geometry like we would normally do in an external tool like Blender, Maya, 3ds Max, etc. So in Unreal Engine, on the top left side, I can switch on the modeling mode. And that's new.
Because I know in the answer, Robin, how does this come that we have a modeling tool in UE5? How is it possible? What is the story behind this? Please explain it to me.
Basically, just Epic Games. Epic Games gave Blender Foundation a mega grant, and Blender Foundation helped out Epic Games with how to do a modeling tool. And
so if our audience is familiar with Blender, maybe you see some similar stuff, and maybe you get remembered on Blender, because Blender, the team from Blender and Epic Games working together to get some basic mesh editing tools in UE5. Robin, sorry,
exactly.
The stage is yours.
All right. So as you can see over here, when I switched over to the modeling mode on the left side, I've got a new panel. So I can create new shapes. This is just basic shapes like boxes and spheres. And I can set up there width, depth, height, subdivisions, just stuff like that. And you can place them in the scene. So nothing that super interesting. It's just a box, but I was able to define the box's dimensions. So yeah, but I can also set up passes and connect them, give them a scale, give them a height, stuff like that. So really basic stuff. But you can also go ahead and edit the polygons. So you can move them around. That's I'm using the grid right now. So you can just freely move them around. You can also pick these edges. And you cannot just move them. You can also use stuff like using the extrude mode to extrude from here, extrude from there, and so on, giving them offsets, giving them like, let's go ahead and give them an inset. So inside of here, I want to create a sub face. So you see, I'm not one, I'm not from the modeling side, but I hope you get the point that you can inside the Unreal Editor set up your meshes. And it does not need to be a mesh that you have created. You can pick any kind of mesh. So even if you import an FBX file of a chair, you can edit the chair inside the engine, and you don't need to do it to go back to your DCC and re-import from there. And now if you were to play your game, so this is a third-person sample game of Unreal Engine 5, I can directly play test. So now I think, yeah, this is great. I can walk on this, and maybe I need to edit something. So I just go in here and probably edit, of course, and move this someplace else. I don't know. Maybe I need a wall over here. So I move this over, hit accept, and I can play my game again. And this time I just change this. So
this is really cool, Robin.
Yeah, this massively reduces the time of re-importing, exporting, going back to your DCC.
So what is interesting here is, of course, we have talked to some 3D, some experiences, 3D artists, and none of them said that they probably will build up the 3D stuff in the Unreal Engine 5 for now. Maybe it's a lack of trust, and it's also just some basic stuff here, but to do some little changes on really cool or on really built up mesh, I think that this is something you can deal with, you can work with. But for me, the most powerful argument for this is of course rapid prototyping. I'm not a developer, but I've worked on a project in the last months. And for me, it was super cool to use these tools to building up a rapid prototype and to click on the play button and just to test it. So I don't need to re-import or working some stuff, and our workflow to building up a prototype. It was of course a VR prototype, was really fast, and I was really happy to do more as a non-developer, and even as someone who have never worked with 3D modeling tools, just by throwing in some blocks and editing some shapes, and just click on play and test the run. It was really awesome, awesome experience for me.
And it's very feature rich, actually. So just to give you a few examples, there's all kinds of operations like booleans, intersection. So we just get that stuff. We can merge them together, or like this A minus B. So we can cut it out from there. I just, while you were going on, because of the time, I was also doing a bit of sculpting. So Unreal Engine is supporting pressure sensitive tablets. So if you have a graphics tablet from, for example, Wacom, so an artist pen, you can also sculpt right in the engine and so on. Or something that you often need to do just when you're working on a project, you need to adjust where the pivot point is. So you can go ahead, you can go into pivot transform mode. You can place it freely by hand in the scene, or you can go with one of the box positions like the top or the bottom, the center, and so on. So you can easily adjust where in the world, or for this object, the pivot point should be. And then you
so
just have it from
pivot
there.
is the rotation point
Origin,
or the origin?
the
Okay.
origin, the origin of
The
a match,
origin
you
of
could
the
say.
object. Okay.
Yeah. Again, this sounds kind of simple, that you can adjust the origin of the object, but actually, if you try this in Unity, you will hit a brick wall. And what we did, we had the problem that our object was rotating the wrong way, and then you have to go back to your 3D editor, change the pivot point, and come back just to see, oh, it rotates again the wrong way. And then we tried out 3 different assets in Unity until we hit one that basically did what we wanted.
And every time you have go through the whole workflow.
Yeah. And
Going
so
back to Blender, re-exporting, re-importing. On the re-import, something went wrong. You know the drill.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So I think it is just like it has to do with the time that you consume doing stupid stuff instead of designing something, you know.
Yeah.
So also, besides just creating geometry, you can also author it. So you can take a look at the normals, tangents, other attributes, but also you can do UV unwrapping. So there are some different ways to do this, like auto UV, that will just try its best to do an unwrap. But there's also projection mapping, so like planar mapping or box mapping, for example. Can also do stuff like that for UV editing. But you can also take a look at the UV layout itself, and you can also edit the UV patch by patch. You can cut it, you can move the islands around on the UV layout. So it's not, from the UX, it's not as good as some other tools out there. So there's still a lot of room for improvements on most of these features, but just having the ability to do it right inside your 3D editor, inside your game engine is super cool. And from here on, it can just get better in that direction.
Thank you, Robin. We have some, so just to make a ein Deckel on the topic.
To put a lid on it.
Okay, put a lid on it. Is it correct? No, that doesn't matter.
I don't know.
So it's a really powerful tool, and we want for us, our feeling is that everybody who's into 3D modeling should definitely take a look on this, because it's all about a shorter and a faster workflow. And even the people who are not into 3D modeling should take a look on it, because probably you can do changes by yourself, and you don't need much people and of course a longer workflow to deal with it.
But wait,
so
I got one more thing to talk about before.
One more thing about modeling? No, please. Just
no. We have different topic.
Maybe also 2 topics. There are 2 topics, Robin, that for me are really interesting with UE5 and even with our XR topic, and that is pixel streaming and chaos. I don't know if you have the same topics, but please say yes.
I got also OpenXR, but we can throw both in one pot and talk about all of them. I also got a few honorable mentions I just want to mention, but let's see how much time we have.
Yeah.
So where do we want to start?
Chaos. Let's talk about chaos, because chaos is the new physics part of UE5. And when some of you have worked on, let's say, VR projects with physics, and maybe also to deploy the same application on different system, chaos would be really interesting for you when you are working with physics on different systems. Robin.
Yeah. So what's chaos? Chaos. So Chaos is the new physics engine developed in-house by Epic Games, deployed, of course, for Unreal Engine. It's battle proven on Fortnite, so it's already running on 10 different active platforms at a time. So Fortnite is at the moment, I think, only running at 9, not including iOS. So yeah, what's Chaos, or what's the great thing about Chaos? Chaos is.
I mean, if you have nothing to share, please stop the screen share. So we have your video picture in a bigger way. Yeah.
All
Thanks.
right. Okay, there we go. So Chaos is a physics engine, and it's integrating stuff like rigid body simulation, so just objects falling over, ragdoll physics, so skeletal meshes being animated like that, deformations, so if you have got cars crashing into each other, their bodies getting deformed. You've got fractures, so basically destructible objects like buildings, architecture, collapsing. So all of that is part of Chaos. And what's the great thing about Chaos? I think for the past 20 years, we had physics engines that could do stuff like that to some degree. The great thing about Chaos is that it is made in-house by Epic Games and that it is scalable. Scalable means in this term, you can go from low-end mobile games up to high-end PC next-gen console games or interactive applications running on that. So you could use the same physics parameters on a mobile game and on PC, or maybe on a Quest standalone application and a VR, PSVR2 or PC VR application. And
so just to make an example, if I don't know, if I shoot a ball on a PC game and I shoot the same ball in the same direction with the same velocity on a mobile device, it could be in the past that the ball is, I don't know, moving different on each system because there are different physics systems behind.
Exactly. So that was the case on, for example, Unreal Engine 4, but also at the moment on other game engines. So with Chaos in UE5, you've got the same physics engine underlying on all the platforms. And just that you say it because you mentioned a multiplayer scenario. So if you have a multi-user multiplayer scenario where you have got networking, Chaos is running it in its own physics thread. So it was subdivided in the past. It was also running on the main CPU game thread. Now the main CPU game thread is running on its own core and thread, and the physics in Chaos is running on its own thread and core. So not just that is more performant, also having it in a fixed time frame, in a fixed sync, you can synchronize between multiple devices, and basically you have multiple devices calculating the same physics output, and that is the foundation for networked physics, and that is the foundation for
okay, that's also super interesting.
games.
I don't know, Clarence, if you have ever did a VR multiplayer experience where you used physics, and I remember on this project, oh man, it was pure horror.
Yeah, I actually did it once, and it was on a PC. Yeah, and I never dared to do it on a mobile device.
Yeah, that's the easiest thing. So you talk to the customer and say, okay, there are two people, and one guy gives a stick to another guy, and you say, okay, let's do it. And yeah, when you try to do this, you figure out what it means to do VR physics in a multiplayer scenario. So I'm really happy to hear this. Robin, how can I use Chaos? It's just, let me guess, in UE5 it means just nothing, just use the engine, right?
Yeah. So okay. It's activated per default. In UE4, in 4.27, you had the ability to compile the engine on your own, so you could switch. But in UE5, that is just the default physics engine, and you can't go back, but it won't go back. So there's no reason. But you had one more topic from your side before we go to my topic.
I had one more topic. It was about pixel streaming.
Yeah.
And of course, even in an XR-related context, pixel streaming is something I found personally really interesting.
But maybe we should first explain what that
is.
Yeah,
of course. So, Robin, sorry, what is pixel streaming?
Okay. So pixel streaming is just a very fancy term for an in-house developed technology by Epic Games for streaming an application's viewport, that just maybe is whatever is rendered by that application, to another machine. That could be in a web browser. It does not need to be, but most of the times it's in a web browser via WebRTC. So that essentially just means you're running an application on machine A in network A, maybe, I don't know, in Munich, because of reasons, in Munich. And you have somebody else that wants to run this application, but they don't have a very powerful machine, just a smartphone or something, but they have got a web browser and a stable internet connection. So they just connect to a website on that web server of that machine. And they have, like Google Stadia, GeForce Now, a streaming solution where they can just interact with that machine, very low latency. And yeah, that's pixel streaming in a nutshell.
And of course, with Unreal 5, it just comes by a click, right? It doesn't.
It's a 3-minute setup. It's activating a plugin. It's configuring 2 or 3 options, and then you package it and it's good to go. So it's super easy to set up. And now here comes the XR or VR context. At the moment, so unfortunately at the moment, pixel streaming can only do flat games. Woo, no VR, no AR at the moment. But Epic Games is working day and night to bring this over to stereoscopic rendering and virtual reality. And I already have seen some demonstrations. Unfortunately, they are not public, but I can assure you in the near future, not a long time away, we will have pixel streaming running with stereoscopic rendering, with virtual, augmented, mixed reality. And it's just around the corner in a time frame of the XR in overall.
And I get the idea. How can from a not so much administrator, web administrator guy perspective, how would you set this up on the computer that does all the heavy lifting and rendering? Is there some mumbo jumbo Azure cloud or something involved, or what are we talking about here?
You could do that. So there are multiple options. As it's you just package an XE Windows application or a Linux application, both work for pixel streaming. You just have this application, and if you want to self-host it on your machine, maybe just in your local area network, so it doesn't need to even go outside of your company's network, for example, you could of course self-host, but you also have got the ability to set up a cloud provider like AWS, Azure Cloud, Google Cloud, all the cloud providers, and to host your application in a scalable but also paid per hour way. So you could set up your application so it's easily running on one client, but also to enable 1,000 clients to run that application. And also all about that is like pre-included into pixel streaming, into Unreal Engine. So you just read the documentations, read the READMEs, and you're good to go. It's not that hard of a thing to do. Okay,
what was your topic, Robin? The last one, 2 minutes.
Yeah. So I've got more, but we just stick to the time frame.
Maybe there will be another XR UE5 meetup in the future.
I hope so.
Yeah.
So yeah, the last topic I wanted to talk about is OpenXR. So in the past, we had all kinds of VR SDKs like Steam VR, Vive Wave by HTC, Oculus SDK by Meta, Oculus, Facebook. Yeah, also them. So you had all of these native technologies, each one being great, not so great, each one having advantages and disadvantages, only running on certain devices. But that meant for you as developers that you would need to change from, for example, Steam VR SDK over to Oculus SDK if you want to bring your application from, for example, PC to a Quest device. Now, for the past, I think 2 or 3 years, I'm not so sure, there was something new coming up, which was called OpenXR, or is still called OpenXR. And Unreal Engine 5 made the step to completely go all in on OpenXR. But that's a trend that the whole industry is doing at the moment. So everybody's doing OpenXR right now. And that makes sense because you don't want to have that that problem of bringing over your content from one platform to the other. You just want to, I often think about OpenXR as a universal input driver for your keyboard and mouse. You don't want to install a new driver every time you plug in a new USB mouse. You just want to plug it in and it should already run. And that is OpenXR for virtual reality application. So yeah, OpenXR, go ahead, use it. There's no downside on it. Everybody's doing it. Steam VR is supporting it. Oculus is supporting it. PlayStation VR 2 is supporting it. Please go ahead, use OpenXR. It's also available in Unity. So this is not about Unreal Engine. CryEngine Unity also supporting OpenXR. Just go ahead and use that in your applications.
Sometimes the projects, maybe the settings of the project are not allowing to use OpenXR, but every time you building up a project from ground up, you have to take the first, you need to ask you the first question, is it possible to use OpenXR, because it also is a lot of time saving in the future when you want to run it on different systems.
Also, if you start a new project template in Unreal Engine 5 and use the VR template, OpenXR is then basically default
enabled. Okay, so yeah, so we waited. Of course, we waited for the last moment of our presentation to talk about this one, because of course we are in an XR meetup, and we have already seen some questions in the chat. Of course, directly to Lumen and to Nanite. How does it support XR devices? And yeah, let's pick the twos right away. For now, at this moment today, Lumen and Nanite is not supported for stereoscopic rendering. But I want to show you, Robin. You showed me this page before. Oh, I'm just sharing. I'm not sharing my screen. I'm just sharing my application, right? So
yes.
Just let me stop again and play it again. Okay, so now it should work. So you totally need to save this page, because this is a public roadmap of Unreal Engine 5. So maybe I just take this link and put it in the chat. And this is really interesting, because you see right here, we have topics about PSVR 2, which says, okay, Unreal Engine adds support for PSVR 2. And of course, they mean, because I'm in the UE5 topic, it means that the UE5 engine will be will be able to use PSVR 2. And of course, we have some mobile rendering improvements, which are really interesting when you are developing for mobile VR platforms. But let's talk about, of course, it's a little bit disappointing, even if we showed Nanite and of course Lumen, but because of our good network to and our good connection to Epic, it's we can say that Nanite will be coming to XR, Robin, right? Or it already for now, for this time, they say that the public, right? It's a public thing for now.
It's public. It's public.
Yeah.
It's
okay. So you don't heard it here first.
Yeah, they made the public statement that Nanite is at the moment not supporting stereoscopic rendering. That includes split screen games, but also virtual reality stereoscopic, AR stereoscopic stuff. And it is not that big of a problem to bring it into VR. So they will do that in the upcoming like 5.1 or 5.2 versions. It's just that at the moment it's not supported. Nanite is the one topic. Lumen, on the other hand, that is at the moment not planned to be brought over to VR, because from a technical point of view, because it's basically just using the screen and doing a lot of stuff with the screen and with what currently is being rendered. And on two screens, it's different. So long story short, Lumen will in the near future not come to UE5 for virtual reality. Nanite will come to VR, but it requires at least Shader Model 5 graphics pipelines. That includes Vulkan PC and DirectX. So for Vulkan Android, for example, just mentioning it because of Quest 2, Nanite will also in the near future not support Quest. But that is why I talked about the pixel streaming. Because of streaming, you can just render everything on PC in the highest quality and send it over to, for example, another device.
So, but for now, Stephan and Robin, how can I yeah, experience UE5 even if I'm working only in the XR scene. So of course, Nanite, the workflow of Nanite is a little bit, it's faster, or it's not a little bit faster, it's really fast, because I can just throw in raw data in my scene. But we learned, okay, that's nothing for now I can use in an XR project. But what about Nanite and, let's say, light building or other nice other nice stuff in the new UE5 engine that I can use maybe for my XR projects?
So light building and Nanite is not supported. So Nanite meshes don't have the light map UVs by default. So you should not use them, since Nanite meshes can be quite complex. And if you're using then the light map UVs as well, that can increase their size, just the asset size. You can still just use the default pipeline with default static meshes and skeletal meshes, LODs, and then light building. I've seen also the question in the chat, maybe I just pick it up, light mass and lumen. So you don't need to use lumen in combination with light maps and light mass. Light mass is still separate from lumen. You can still just don't use lumen and use light mass. And for example, use your GPU to build your light maps. That's called GPU light mass. It is a plugin, and it needs the supported GPUs. Oh yeah, thank you, Robin. That's a really powerful tool, because your light map building could take hours, and now it takes minutes. It's insane.
It's around 70 times faster. Just a little bit of trivia: 70 times faster than CPU-baked light maps.
And for me personally, I think it looks quite good, because I was in every VR project I'm working on. We don't think about real-time lighting. Everything was baked, so I'm totally familiar with baked light, and even especially in mobile VR projects. But working with other engines and, let's say, bakery with you have to figure out you have to put in a lot of time, a lot of effort to get a really cool, crispy look. And when I see this stuff, and I think about, okay, I can now build my light maps with this tool, and it looks, yeah, how UE5 even looks. It's pretty awesome, I think.
Yeah, but back to your slide.
I can just amen to that. The thing about the light baking, I think what is so frustrating sometimes in some other engines is that you basically have an idea how this thing should look, because you saw it how it looked in 3ds Max or in Maya when you did your ray tracing stuff. And then you get over in the real-time engine, and everything is a mess, and you basically spend hours, and it's not like creative process. Again, you just stand there, you change something, you hit the button, and then it renders for like an hour just to see that the thing that you're getting is crap, and you do it over and over and over again until you get something, and then you say, oh my god, I'm just gonna save it and never touch it again, because I got this result. And this is a huge difference when working with Unreal. When I'm working with Unreal, this thing is basically this, it's not a problem. It works like very easy in the back. So pretty things start happening, and you say, oh, I like that.
Yeah, that's also the power of the GPU light mask, as you have seen in the video I just shared on my screen like 2 minutes ago. So even while you're moving around a static light source in your scene, it just starts on all the surfaces to do the light bake. So you have a live preview, even with a little progress bar per surface patch, of what's going on in your light bake. And if you don't like what you're seeing, you can immediately react and change the lighting settings. So that, even for mobile VR, but even for non-VR, for any kind of baked light scenario, it's a huge improvement. I
think we don't, in this round, we don't need to promote real time beside on offline, but of course it's I think that this round is common with this. But yeah, UE4 and of course even especially UE5 is totally fast. It's crazy fast, and it looks brilliant. It feels brilliant. So thank you, Stephan. Thank you, Robin. So for now, I think we can, if there are some questions, also thanks to Christoph Wurzer. I hope I spelled this correctly, because you punched in some questions in our chat. So if we have now an open mic, of course, people can ask some questions.
Sure, go ahead, do that. So anybody wants to ask anything?
Don't be shy.
So if you are shy, doesn't matter. Just to be clear, so when you have a question, I don't know, let's say in the morning or in the evening, so just write me a mail. We will answer your question in a matter of time. And even if you are interested in further informations round about UE5, just get in contact with us, and we will hold you informed.
But I still hope that somebody's having questions right now.
Yeah,
Of course,
yeah,
not
yeah.
just tomorrow.
You need to be patient for people
Yeah,
to
yeah.
really
I know
get
that.
comfy and opening the mic, and it takes some time. And
we just have to be silent for a minute. Maybe this will work.
This awkward silence makes them say something, because it's so annoying that somebody's saying something.
Oh, well, I mean, I don't know if it's annoying anyways, but there are always questions left anyway. So is there anything new in Unreal Engine 5 for the support of augmented reality? Anything that was renewed or something for AR kit or stuff?
So one thing was removed actually. So in the past in UE4, Magic Leap was always enabled on any kind of like XR project. So you went with the XR template, it always has Magic Leap enabled. And now Magic Leap was separated as a plugin in many plugins, and they are per default disabled. So that changed. Magic Leap is less supported now.
Okay.
But they have updated the XR template to now support OpenXR. So they switched from the like native SteamVR, Oculus SDK, and so on. And the new template is using OpenXR, and everything in the template is optimized for Quest 2 development. So like the default settings of that template is just aimed towards Quest 2 development.
I think the question was augmented and not
augmented.
Yeah. I know. I just do XR in general. Like for augmented reality, it's still supporting the latest AR kit. It's still supporting the latest AR core. The HoloLens 2 is of course still supported. So about that, I don't think that much changed right now.
Yeah, the template is a little bit different. It has a few more features, like I think you can move now the placeable geometry around. It doesn't have a lot of features, but it changed a little bit. So the project template, when you're starting your augmented reality project, you can go down to, I think it's, for example, in architecture or in automotive product and design. Let me just share my screen real quick, because we now have these categories. This should be the screen. Is this the correct screen?
Yeah.
Yes.
Perfect. So if you're starting a new Unreal Engine 5 project, you can then go into the games category, film, live video events and stuff, or architecture. There's handheld AR, and automotive is also handheld AR. And this template allows you now to then place an object in your scene, in your augmented reality scene, rotate it around and interact a bit more with it than just be able to place something, which was the default before.
So we got some new templates, but not fundamental.
Yes, I mean the focus on Unreal Engine 5 is really high end.
Yeah, it's which unfortunately is the status quo of the current AR status. Maybe it's not a problem from Unreal, from Epic Games.
Sure. Yeah.
We all waiting for new devices, new stuff, and
New toys to play with.
just to play with.
One more question about LiDAR scanning. Is there any direct connection or plugin where I can directly push a LiDAR scan from?
From your iPhone, you mean?
So Unreal Engine is directly supporting point cloud data. So if you have just your point clouds from the scanner in raw data like XYZ information, LAZ information, and so on. So I think it's at the moment 7 different like file formats for point clouds supported, and it can stream them in and it can render them. And basically, yeah, you can just use your point clouds out of the box without anything to them. They even support collision, so they can generate a collision mesh for your point cloud. Yeah, it's super easy.
Great, thanks a lot.
You're welcome.
So are there some other questions? If not, I have a question for you guys out there. How many of you are Unity users and how many of you guys are Unreal users?
Unity users have left.
This is the moment where you need a poll in
Yeah, we would need a poll. So if all your Unity users, can you just type you into the chat? I don't know how poll works here.
I mean, you could just, you have these reactions, maybe just use the thumbs up reaction.
A thumbs up for Unreal or for Unity?
For Unity. Oh, I see, Godot.
Yeah, so maybe this is something we can talk about. There is, and we all know why there is some sort of lack using Unreal in the industry, and of course INCAS, especially INCAS, is working on to change this. I personally figured out that, I don't know, 4 years ago or even 5 years ago, but let's say 4 years ago, sometimes when I talk to customers, to developers, to new employees, and to all people who are working in this scene, and you ask them why they don't use Unreal, one of the first answer was that there is a missing community. So when you have questions or when you need some help, you don't find any people who can help you. And for me personally, I don't know, Robin and Stephan, of course, you are totally deep into Unreal right now, but I personally figured out that this changed dramatically over the last 3 years. And that the first reason is that, of course, Epic has worked on this topic and is building up a community. But it also has done with that more people are using the engine for now. And I personally think that there are great communities now. Communities where you can put in your whole blueprinting system. Can you show this maybe where you copy your blueprint and paste it in some sort of a forum or of a thread, and people can use it? It's brilliant. That's something I totally was missing in the last years.
So you mean blueprintue.com?
Yeah, it's implemented now on the community, in the new community site for developers and creators. Let me just pull it up.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, building up a community comes not of nowhere. So we at INCAS also building up the largest European Unreal community. So we working on a Discord channel and stuff like that. So if you want to join us, just get in contact with us, and we can work on this.
So here, this what you're seeing right now is on my screen is the Epic developer community, which was also released alongside UE5 at the 5th of April. And here you can access the forums, you can access learning paths, and also in the snippets, you can, for example, death respawn ability, whatever, you can save and upload blueprint snippets or also material snippets that then get shown to you inside of your browser as if it was inside of Unreal. You can also move stuff around and then just copy and paste this inside of your Unreal Engine project, because blueprints are just text that Unreal then visualizes.
Yeah.
So this is crazy.
I can talk a little bit out of and can give you a glimpse through the door hole. How
Keyhole?
Keyhole. Thank you.
The door hole.
I just shut. I need to stop with this. So yeah, Epic is building up also some dedicated communities. They're building up a learning platform with it's a YouTube style. So there are not deep dive videos, but short learning nuggets, let's say it, and you can just grab some 5-minute or 10-minute videos. It's all user-generated content, and personally, I worked with Epic Games now for a couple of months, and I'm totally impressed how community-driven they are for now, and how they try to close this lack of community, which sometimes people are missing in the past.
And another of these I don't know how to say that. Like how Unreal Engine is perceived sometimes by the public is that Unity is just it's easier to get into, and that is, I would say, that is not true. So that's something I have heard so often in the past 5 years, that people were starting with Unity because it would be easier to learn, and Unreal Engine would just be too much, too complicated, and so on. And I would say both Unity and Unreal Engine, but every other tool on the market as well, can become very complicated if you are searching for something complicated and if you want to do something complicated. But for beginners, I would say both are valid options, but it's not worse or better. It's just Unreal Engine is different. So don't be afraid to make the jump to just open up Unreal Engine and give it a try. Even if you're a Unity user right now, or even if you don't use any real-time technology at all at the moment, it's like the first steps into Unreal Engine are magic. And Unreal Engine can become the biggest sandbox game that you've ever seen to work with. So please just go ahead, download UE5, give it a try. It's free.
Yeah, especially from an artist standpoint. I mean, from my experience, I was never a coder. I have never typed a single line of code in a paid project. Everything with blueprints, and Unreal is really geared towards artists, and then bringing them more and more towards the technical artist side. But you can get away with so much inside of Unreal, since like Robin said, it's like a really big sandbox where you can do anything you want, but you don't have to touch all the tools if you don't want to. So it can be complicated, but it doesn't need to be.
And of course, if you're more the type of person who wants to learn personally, come to INCAS. Come to us.
So
thank you, Clarence.
Have you got more questions from the guests, from whoever is with us right now? Because while we are gathering your questions, so please go ahead and ask them in the chat, or if you want to, you can also start talking to us with your microphone. But while we're waiting for that, I've got 2 more just topics I want
maybe
to throw
we just ask Clarence if we come to the end for this.
Okay. We can go on and on with this. How much time would you need, Robin?
I need 2 hours.
I'm out.
Yeah, like maybe 2 days. No, let me just show you 2 things really fast. So 2 things often overlooked by the community when we're talking about Unreal Engine 5 is first meta sounds. So meta sounds is a digital signal processing audio unit right inside of the Unreal Engine. So you can create, like in a blueprint, frequencies, beats per minute, use variables, use parameters, use triggers, and you basically create new sounds like a synthesizer on the fly. So that's meta sounds. I think that's maybe even as interesting as Nadine and as Lumen if you're coming from the audio side. And another thing that I just want to drop here is that Unreal Engine 5 also got fluid simulations. So you can now do really high-end gas simulations, smoke simulations, fire simulations, sand simulations, liquids like water, and Unreal Engine. Yeah, my YouTube just isn't loading, but you see what I mean. Really high-end reacting to colliders in the scene, being interactive, even in VR supported. I just want to drop that really quick, but now it's back to you guys. Please, if you have any questions, feel free to ask them.
Your YouTube video was more like a flip book, but maybe you
Yeah,
give me.
yeah.
Maybe
It was the same for me as well.
More for our imagination. But I can basically maybe to wrap it up, because I see that our audience is still shy in this. Yeah. Is that I would say I'm basically a newbie in the Unreal field, but again, from an artist perspective, it's basically the playing around with it to find solutions, to find the right look. It is so easy to do compared to some other stuff. And for me, interesting is that sometimes you have the type of project where you need really good looking renderings, but at the same time you don't have the budget to render this with V-Ray or the Octane engine, because it takes you a lot of time. So you can basically take the stuff from Maya or from Max and just put it in the Unreal Engine, and you achieve some results in a very fast way. And if you have to do like 360-degree renderings in stereoscopic ways, then you need like resolutions that can go up to 8K. And try to render something in 8K with V-Ray Advanced. Don't even start it. So that's from this perspective, Unreal is very interesting, because you can even if you don't know a thing about coding, you can just do storytelling with the timeline, and it is. And I have tried to do storytelling in Unity with the timeline, and I found it very, very hard to do. I don't know why, but the timeline is, I don't know why, but this is, in some ways I don't get the hang of it. And I really tried, but in Unreal it was kind of, yeah, okay, that's how it should work. So so I can just only emphasize what Robin already said. Just give it a try. It is for free. Install the thing, and maybe you just have the icon on your desktop, and then 1 month later you click on it, and then you start really experiencing, because that's what I was doing. I got into the thing when I saw the MetaHuman thing that we didn't talk about today, but maybe we have some in a later event we should talk about this. But there are so many interesting things happening there that you should definitely check it out. All right, then I would say thank you very much to you three. It was a pleasure of having you. I hope we have you in the future again. And yeah, if you have some questions, just drop them a line. I think you can just again leave your contacts in the chat. And we have Graham Breen of Interactive with a little announcement. Are you still there, Graham?
I am still here. Yeah, let me turn my camera on. So yeah. just two more things for you. Sorry, that's a bad impression. Sorry. Yeah, no, I was just going to give you guys a very quick update of Interactive, actually, what we're doing. Most of you know us from the ecosystem, obviously, as one of the long-standing Munich-based XR companies. So I will keep this short, and I've got a couple of slides to show. It's about 7 slides, so I'll keep it mega short. This is more on a business level than a technical level. Let me share my screen and
But we will
There
have a
we go.
little present for you at the end. So it's worth
I was going to
the
say
wait.
we come offering small gifts. We come offering small gifts as well. So, and I should also introduce my colleague Moritz, who's also in chat. If people have questions, by the way, feel free write them in chat. Moritz will pick up anything as we go. Anything he doesn't, then I can pick up at the end. But yes, so most of you guys know us from being around the ecosystem for a while. We've been a VR training company. We've built a lot of training. Maybe I should go to the next slide actually to show you exactly where we are coming from and where we are going. So we've been around since 2013. If you look at some of our bigger customers, it's like the Volkswagen Group or ExxonMobil, Siemens, Deloitte, Linde. So large industrial companies. Now, originally, we were building training for them, and we evolved a couple of years ago and changed that. And we started building products instead. So we built a tool called the Creator for sort of low code or no code content creation, and also a tool called Portal. Now, as that has evolved, we've doubled down based on our customers' requirements on the Portal side of it. The Creator side, the content creation side, has now been farmed out and is being run in a company called Mindport, what was formerly the Creator tool. So Mindport is the former product manager who looked after Creator. And as InnoActive, we're focusing on Portal because that's the biggest challenge a lot of our customers have got. A lot of them have got great content, but the challenge is how do they get it to their people? And I'll come into what I mean in a second. So in all of that, what we're trying to do, we're trying to work with the big companies in the industry. So Unreal is on this list, as you can see, Unity as well. We try to stay agnostic here, totally open. We try to work with anyone and everyone. We work very closely with NVIDIA. I'll come back to them in a minute. And of course, all of the core headset manufacturers and the cloud providers. So what we've generally found is our customers, when they're trying to roll out their VR training, they've had a few challenges. Deploying training. For those who don't know me, by the way, my background, I was originally at HTC, actually. I started the HTC Vive European team, at least, back in 2015. So I've been around the world of VR for a long time. And one of the challenges that customers have had with the deploying training, that's grown over time, but back then we would just share files on WeTransfer or whatever, and it's not a very healthy way to do it. They need to deploy properly, and it's how can they integrate that into their business processes rather than just SharePoint distribution of files. So integrating it into their business processes, such as their learning management systems. You've got a learning module to do. You want to click on that module to start it. You don't want to have to go through some complex way to VR. How can larger companies deploy both Android-based VR and PC-based VR? Because a lot of those who've been in since day one, since 2015-16, have been building in both, and they want to get that training out to their people. And how can they reach their workers wherever they are? We've written here train from home, but it could be anywhere. It could be factory sites, it could be offices, it could be home office, you name it. And there's some other challenges companies have for sales and marketing use cases. How can they get the content securely? And also the studios, actually. So we've just been listening to some of the elements that are important for studios, but how can you deploy new app releases to your customers and help your enterprises roll out? So that's why we've built and worked on Portal. So Portal at its base is a Netflix style, if you like, UI deployment platform for VR. It's one-click access. You click on the app to launch directly. That's kind of crucial purely because a lot of the people doing the training are obviously not from a VR background. They're not from a technical world, and they just want an easy way to do things. It's a browser-based system, so you're launching to your headset from a browser. So it will work on a laptop, a smartphone even. It really doesn't matter. And we can protect the IP in there. So it's user authenticated, meaning you can't launch an app unless you've authenticated it with our access control SDK plugin there.
And
Sorry,
Graham,
yeah,
and why this is obviously aimed more for enterprises and so on. Why we are showing this to you is we are planning to build up a huge network out of companies like you who have the content, whether it is Unreal or Unity based, but more on the more technical side in a second, who should be able to upload all the applications and be able to have a nice distribution way to send it out to the enterprises and to your customers. Well, that's basically the need why we are here now. Back to you, Graham. Sorry for
No,
the
you're right.
interruption.
You're right. You're totally right, Moritz. The final point there is actually the one for the big enterprises where it connects into their learning systems and also into their single sign-on. So it's a tool that really fits properly into enterprises and is easy to share content with. What that means in a more basic format is you can upload any type of VR content. It's Unity-based, Unreal-based, PC-based VR, standalone-based VR, even, by the way, Web 360 apps. It doesn't matter. That's also fine. Upload them to Portal, and from there, deploy with Portal to the headset that the content was built for. So deploy an Oculus Quest app to an Oculus Quest, PC-based VR up to a PC-based VR, Web 360 apps to the web browser, or, and this is the secret sauce, working very closely with NVIDIA and the Cloud XR, is you can stream the PC-based VR to the standalone VR headsets. So if you've got either large files or you've got files that you don't want to update, or you want to reach a far larger group of people, you can do it on a far cheaper and easier to use headset, but still not have to change the file that you've already got there. So we work with a multi-cloud solution, AWS and Azure, but we can easily add more. If your customers want, we can happily deploy on premise as well. It's security is the key focus there. And it works straight out of the box. So upload an executable to Portal and you can stream it to a standalone headset. So a quick look of the sort of the tech side of that and how that looks and the journey, if you like. If you look at it from the, say, the trainee's journey in an organization, so from the top here, from the top of the slide, they'd sign on in with their single sign-on, for example, through an Active Directory, and through their learning system would click to launch a module, click to launch a training module. So, and that comes into the XR-related web services here. We've got an authentication service. And depending on what they're launching, if they're launching locally, then we can do session management and go directly to the bottom box and launch PC client VR. Or we can drop down and go to into the fourth tier here, which is obviously cloud rendering, setting up an edge server, AWS or Azure. We've got IP lookup in there, so it selects the closest data center to people to keep the latency down. All you need is sort of 50 megabits per second and upwards, and then it should work absolutely fine. Probably one last thing that's important to say is on the right-hand side here, we've got lots of boxes with dotted lines. These are companies that we work with. You may have other companies. We really believe in open ecosystems and trying to work with other partners in the industry. This will only grow by people working together. So, for example, Cognitive 3D for analytics, Photon for collaboration, but there are more, but we've just put them in there as reference. So getting on to the end of the presentation, the last slide, and this is what Moritz was talking about, the sort of special offer. And we've cobbled this together quite quickly, but just to highlight, what we actually offer today is an app-based business model. You can have, we've got a starter package, if you like, for one app. If you're an enterprise coming at big scale, of course, then we need a separate discussion. But up to 10 apps, we charge 2,500 euros per app, and that's for a year. And it includes 250 cloud minutes and your own Portal instance. But open offer to anybody here who wants to try Portal and try cloud streaming is we can set you up a trial instance for a month. You can upload up to 10 of your apps. It's just a month, so it's really just to try the service, understand how cloud streaming could work for you. Could it be something that is beneficial? We'll include 250 minutes of streaming in there. It works on Unity or Unreal. it really, as I mentioned before, it doesn't matter. And yeah, the bottom point there, it's for free. So if anybody wants to try cloud streaming, we've all heard about Cloud XR. Some of you may have tried it already. We do believe it's the future. Coming from a headset background, I know that the device manufacturers are taking as much processing out of the headsets as possible. It's all going up into the cloud, along with the other buzzword of 5G coming in, which is, I don't want to talk in buzzwords today, but it is relevant because a lot of the larger customers are working and looking at it now. So yeah, if you want to try this, please contact Moritz Klempner. Here's his email address. He's also in the chat here. So
and
yeah.
it's really worth it. So I have, in all honesty, I thought the whole cloud streaming thing is something to more future-proof the concept and to be just future-proofed. But as of today, it's like it's ridiculous. Like you don't even see a difference. So I can just tell you, just try it. It's worth it. And it's for free, so you don't. I mean, there's nothing to lose, right? Just get in contact with me or with Graham,
Exactly.
and we will set something up for you and we'll get you going. And again, like this is not a sales pitch, everything for free. We don't want to sell to you. We want to use you as partners and partner up with you guys and hear your feedback and so on. That's way more valuable.
Yeah. Final comments of Adam. I'm just looking at the user numbers in this chat. It's actually gone up during our presentation, so we've done we've done something right. Are there any questions? I can see. I'm going to stop sharing the presentation and just have a quick look at the chat. Are there any questions people have, or is there anything that people would like to know?
Maybe one other thing. No. If you have any questions in the meantime, feel free, like afterwards, as Christian said as well, like if you have any questions, feel free to write us as well. Just shoot us a quick email and we are happy to answer everything and get in contact with you guys.
Totally.
So the questions aren't coming along today. I don't know what that is. It's like,
I mean, Clarence, maybe you have a question for us.
Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah. But I think you should definitely take those guys off on their up on their offer, because normally streaming can be to try that. I tried it out with the service from Unity. What's it called? Furious. I tried it out.
Although the difference being Furious doesn't work in VR.
Yeah, so that was the big disappointment, because that's where I was heading for. And then anyway, I found this I found it interesting that it worked at all, because I think that it's strange that the streaming isn't really coming to the mainstream. It's from what I take from you guys, it is there, it is working, it's proven, but still it is not something that people are using so much.
Yeah, it's there's a couple of things that are happening in the background. One is the infrastructure to do it. So the I guess you call it the fiber networks are there, and that you can do it today. You're quite right. The other is just the beefing up the data centers from AWS and Azure, having machines in there that are capable of running this. We know the processing power needed to run a PC-based VR app. And the other part is just, it's actually what goes on in the background is pretty complex. If you were to set up Cloud XR, you'd be putting in IP addresses, working out how to select which server, ... And that's where our product on the face of it looks pretty simple, actually. It's a UI, click to launch. But what goes on when you're launching streaming is all of that. It kind of takes away the tech challenges. Because you're right, for a lot of people still, it feels a bit like a tech minefield. So, yeah.
Okay. Cool. So, I have many thanks to you guys. Yeah, you should definitely check that out. And we have been recording this. If you want to review some of the stuff that the guys were talking, and maybe you can just do it. We will upload this on YouTube. All right, then I have only one more announcement by live from Hologate. because he asked me to tell you guys if there is someone who wants to have a job, is searching a job as an Unreal developer, Hologate maybe has something for you. That's what he wanted me to share with you guys. Yeah, and that being said, I would say let's close this down. Thanks to all of you who joined us today, because the weather in Munich was fabulous and you still hung with us. So I appreciate that. And thanks to all the speakers joining today. I think it was a great meetup and I'm looking forward to seeing you guys in the future. Take care. Bye-bye to you all. Bye.
Bye-bye.